Bennett,
Daniel,
how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing?
I recently had the flu, actually, and it floored me. I don't know if you've had the flu in your adult life or ever. Have you, actually?
I've never had the flu.
I think of when you hear the flu, everyone knows influenza. Then there's that every year you get your flu shots, and it's the strand is different or whatever. I'm not intimately familiar with the science behind it, but the effectiveness of the flu shot ranges. That they basically try to predict that strand. Is that right? Am I on the right path? And then sometimes it's great, and sometimes it just totally misses the mark and doesn't matter.
Yeah, its effectiveness definitely varies.
Well, I sometimes get the flu shot, and sometimes I don't, and it's not really out of any sort of political or moral leanings. It's just I would totally get it every time, for sure. I just am kind of a child when it comes to adulting. I don't take care of a lot of that paperwork, doctors, dentists, the stuff like that. And
do you have any? I'll interrupt you just briefly.
Yeah.
Have you ever been riding down the road and you see CVS and they have little signs, almost like election signs or whatever, but stuck out in the grass, and they say "free flu shots"? Have you ever seen that?
I have seen that, and I
can't help but be skeptical.
Yes,
there's no such thing as a free shot or something like that. And
what's going on? Is there fine print that says with a $50 of would you call them groceries at CVS? $50 of supplies? I don't know.
Drugs.
Drugs at CVS. Then they'll give you a shot. I don't believe I would walk in and go, hello. And then they would stick me in the arm and go, have a nice day. That's not how it would go. So I don't know what they mean. And I have a feeling they would say, oh yeah, well, all you got to do is show me your something I don't have, insurance card. I do have insurance cards, but that's the thing about being an adult. I just put them in a drawer, or I put them in my wallet, and I don't know. It sounds silly, but I just kind of turn inward and go go away, I'm healthy. I don't need any of this. And that's actually a life lesson I'm learning, because it hit me. I was totally fine Thursday night. I won't say totally fine. I was if beginning to get sick starts at a 1, if 0 is perfectly fine, and 10 is near death or death itself, I was at a 1. I had this inkling I might get a cold, but you don't even know. It's kind of like when you've sneezed that third time in the day, and you're like, that's a little more than usual. Is this going to, but sometimes it's nothing, and sometimes it's the beginning of your cold. That's where I was. And then it was a Thursday night, and in the middle of the night, I woke up feverish and confused because it's the middle of the night, I guess, and I was sleepy and disoriented and all of that. And I won't drag through a long story because it's not really much of a story, but I have a newfound perspective on pain and how it demands to be felt, and how you can't step outside of, you can't think about anything. Like even the idea of doing a podcast while I had the flu is a joke. In fact, the idea of responding to a text is a joke. Or even, for me, even watching TV. If that gives you, I laid there for hours.
Just laying there, contemplating how bad you felt.
There was no that's the weird, it was this semi-conscious in and out of sleep. I was tired and exhausted, and everything was achy.
Do you think maybe at that time you were you felt worse than any other human in the world?
No way. In some ways, I'm a little bit hyperbolic and a baby. Let's be clear. You gotta take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But at the same time, but sincerely, I'm trying to capture.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't know if you do. My hair hurt. Have you ever? You're
don't
so
understand.
tender. When you're so tender, you're so raw that your hair hurts. You can feel the little hair and the arm on your hair. If you were to just kind of tickle the arm on your hair, it would be
the arm on
painful.
your hair.
That hair on your arm. Excuse me.
What kind of hair you got? You took some weird superpower.
Can't you see some strange piece of art? It's zoomed into arm hair, but it's this really big piece of hair with arms all shooting out of it, lots. It's kind of funny. Yeah. Anyway, had the flu. It sucked, and now I am thankful to be mobile and healthy. Yes, 100%. And then I went back to work, and there's always that adjustment after the holidays.
Yeah.
You're going from a slower pace, or at least a sleeping in pace, to the routine, and that adjustment makes me tired. But that tired is absolutely nothing compared to that sickness.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough never to have the flu. At least I don't think so. And like my immune system must be just like freaking awesome because I was home over the holidays and I saw you over the holidays. You had the flu. My sister just had the flu. A couple other people I came in contact with were like just getting over the flu, and I still didn't get the flu. So must be doing something right. Thanks,
you
Bobby.
Must be. And according to my mom, which I don't know, but she said that that's not a downside. She just when her baby's sick, you gotta take care of yourself. This is one of the worst strains, and I don't know if she was saying that to sort of emphasize to me to take care of myself, or if it actually was one of the worst strains. But she's like, people are dying, and so
I saw some blurb somewhere that I didn't look any further into that said that like Georgia is the sickest state in the country this year, or something like that. So
I wonder what goes into that. Like,
I have no idea.
Is it diets or age? Or,
all the best skateboarders. Yeah, totally sick.
That was terrible. I shouldn't have laughed. Honestly, I'm embarrassed.
Well,
for you.
That's what I do. So how about we kick things off with a little bit of superpowers and drawbacks? We haven't done that in a while.
I'm down. Let's do it. Some superpowers and drawbacks.
Last time we did on a scale of 1 to 10, we ramped it up to 4. So we went pretty high up there on the scale. And we haven't done a 1 in a while, so we're going way down to the lowest of the low.
Good, I'm glad. I think the lowest the superpower, the more interesting, or the more it challenges us to kind of tease out the nuances and think about. And I guess in a way, too, the superpower almost feels more conceivable or believable.
Yeah.
If it's super tiny, it's like, okay. Whereas if you just say you can fly or turn invisible, like, okay, or shoot like gold out of your hand, okay, whatever.
Sometimes, though, like, it's challenging for me to like pair them because if the superpower is so lame, then it's almost like, well, there is no drawback that I would take for this lame thing because I do not care about the lame thing. So, like, why would I take this equally lame bad thing? Yeah, but whatever.
Right, it's not about choosing lame ones. You have to. It's beneficial, so it's not on a scale of lameness. It's more of on a scale of usefulness and annoyance, right? And that's very tough to match.
Right.
It's the useful and annoyance equation or something. I don't know.
Well, let's see. Let's see what you do with these. So, I've got I've got a superpower here for you called long-winded. Actually, I'll just read the titles to you first, and then you can be pondering what they might be. So the superpowers are long-winded and bushmaster, and the drawbacks for you this time are RNG MREs and
wait, say that again.
RNG MREs and sole beneficiary.
Should that first one make sense to me? RNG MREs?
No, it's an acronym.
Okay, good. I just thought like. What is he saying? And I didn't even hear the second one. I was so caught up on that.
Sole beneficiary.
Okay.
So long-winded, the first superpower is you can blow a concentrated stream of air over a long distance, about 30 feet. So it's not unusual in strength or effect. It's just kind of like, if you blow on your hand like that, but you can do it 30 feet away.
It's still concentrated, and that's the size, you can do this in most rooms then, and just really impress people and
blow out candles from across the room.
Yeah, knock a pencil off a desk. I don't know. Okay. Do you want me to explore all the? No, I think you should just dump it all on me, and then I sort through it.
Yep. The second superpower that's competing with that one is Bushmaster. So you can cause bushes to grow in certain shapes by rubbing their leaves for 15 minutes a day.
Say that one more time.
You can cause bushes to grow into certain shapes. You can kind of design what they look like by rubbing their leaves for 15 minutes a day.
How do you mean generally? I just kind of put my hands over them and basically massage them a little bit and shape them how I wish, and they will grow that way.
Yeah.
15 minutes a day.
15 minutes a day.
Once they're set, will they stay that way? I've gotten it where it wants to be, or do I have to? If I get it in the shape I like a dolphin or something silly, do I have to continue to mold it to keep it at, or does it?
I mean, it stays.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it stays in the general dolphin shape, but the plant still grows. So if you go out there and you continue to rub it 15 minutes every day, it'll stay exactly how you want, and technically won't grow anymore. But if you just stop rubbing on it, then it'll still look like a dolphin, but it'll start to kind of get messy. And so you'd either have to prune it or go rub it.
This is a superpower.
Yeah, it's really superpower.
Very low level superpower. I'm just thinking, like, obviously bushes that are shaped like dolphins exist.
But you can do any shape. Sometimes it's like you got to get people out there with pruners and those little kind of weak chainsaw
I guess that takes
things.
a lot. Do I have to be good at art, or are you assuming if I can conceptualize it, I don't have to be talented at... do you see like if I wanted to make it look like you or me, people would look at it and go, "Oh my God, that's your face." It wouldn't be like, "Oh, you're bad at molding, so it looks silly."
It's somewhat correlated to your artistic ability, but since you don't have to do anything but rub the leaves, then none of it is like your physical ability. So like if you can envision it in your head, then you can shape the bush that way.
Okay. I thought you meant like my ability to draw or something. Like I can't draw well, so I can't make bushes look that cool. But you're saying if I can envision it, so creativity or conceptualization and
yes,
my artistic ability in that way.
Yeah, you can make amazing bushes. You're a bush master.
Okay. I'm a master of bushes.
Master of the bushes. But I can hear how much you love these in your voice, so... you have to take one of these two drawbacks. So RNG MREs, an acronym, stands for Random Number Generated Meals Ready to Eat. That's the two acronyms that are smoshed together. So what it is the only way you can eat food is by doing the following. Clap your hands 3 times, and then pound on the table or whatever surface is in front of you once. And then when you do that, a 3-section plate will appear, and it will contain 3 random foods that you like. So the foods are completely random, so you could get popcorn, lasagna, and Swedish fish as a meal, or you could get Lucky Charms, queso dip, and crab legs, or whatever. It's just
so
3.
They don't complement. They could complement.
It's completely random out of things you like, but they are things you like. And a couple more stipulations. You can only do this 3 times a day, and the calorie content will automatically be such that it fits a normal diet. And if you try to share, the food vanishes. So no infinite food, no sharing. I tried to...
Wait, this almost sounds like a superpower, not a drawback. Wait, this is a drawback thing?
This is a drawback.
Because I hate the idea of cooking and the idea of clapping my hands 3 times and pounding on the desk once, and there's my food.
Maybe this
sounds like a total benefit.
Well, maybe this is the drawback for you then. If you really like this one, the problem is you don't get to ever control what you eat ever.
I can't say I'm craving. Oh, this is my only source for food.
This is your only source for food. You can't eat anything else.
But it won't be nasty. It'll be things I like. Okay.
It will always be things you like.
And I can't say I can do it up to 3 times and go ahead and take all 9 pieces and mix and match for the day, I suppose.
Oh, that's a good question.
Is that what
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I shouldn't say. I should say I only get to... Once I've committed, how about this? Once I've committed and done it, that's my from morning time, and then I have an afternoon and I have a dinner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You should just answer it. Sorry. I shouldn't invent the rules for you.
That's fine. If you want to,
because I would just do that every morning and then take a look at what
then...
I got. And if I have 9 options, then I have more to work with.
That's true, but I think I kind of think that's all right, because then like whatever you're gonna have to deal with saving that stuff and mixing and match. It's just gonna be kind of a hassle to deal with all of that. So I think it's still normal enough.
Its deterioration rate's the same. It doesn't reset every day. If it's a banana, it's a banana, right? If it's sushi, it's sushi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that's a dumb quote. That didn't sound right. I just meant, can I put sushi in the fridge for a day like I can now?
That's another good question. But yeah, the food. I'm going to say the food deteriorates at normal. There's nothing magical about the food once it appears, other than if you try to share it, it vanishes. Other than that, it's normal food. But the portions that appear on your plate are, so, like, let's just imagine that the normal calorie division is 2,000 calories a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's how many calories you get. No matter, like, divided up between all 3 of your meals and all 3 portions, that's how much you get. So, like, you're never going to get...
You're going to laugh at this, but I like that. I won't basically I won't get fat because it
You're
won't
right,
allow
yeah.
me to. It's like a plus.
Yeah, you can eat less, but you can't eat more than that, because if you try to eat anything else, then you can't eat it for
Right, but I'm not going to
reasons.
starve at all. It
No,
sounds like
this
it's
is
plenty of food.
Yeah, this it's enough to keep you, at your current level. It's perfectly healthy.
The real drawback is I have no control over what I eat, and which is only it's the cravings. Like when it's my birthday and I want to go out to eat, or I earned a big reward at work and I want to celebrate, and like all of a sudden I just got to eat whatever the heck, and it all just becomes this.
Yeah, you just got to
Monday.
clap your hands.
Does this mean I can't discover more food? By the way, am I cut off at this point to where I've lived once I've accepted this deal? Like, I'm sure there are foods that might be folded into, like my new favorite foods, or like stuff I haven't had around the world, or that kind of thing. I can't do that anymore. Even traveling and stuff, I can't be exposed to new foods.
That's another good question. I would say let's say that generally that is correct. But if there's a food you've never had that you truly believe is very similar to something that you already like enough that you're almost certain you'll like the food, then it's thrown into the pool. It might appear, but obviously you can't do that at will. So,
Right.
Because I know for me anyway, when I see a new food, I'm not a very adventurous eater. When I see a new food, I have a pretty good idea whether I'll like it or not. And, sometimes, and I'm actually right most of the time. When I look at something and I go, that looks gross and smells gross and sounds gross, then it's probably gross. Or if I look at it and it has ingredients that I like and looks good and smells good, then I'm probably going to like it. So
I would venture to guess that it also fits your personality, in that you have a strong sense of self, a degree of certainty about the way you view the world.
Damn right.
And and I mean, the negative side of that, I would push to say it might be, you might be a little bit fixed. So if you're like, you see
Damn
something
wrong.
that looks gross, if it looks gross, it is gross because there's a self-fulfilling. I'm not saying that you wouldn't enjoy something if it was. You're capable of being surprised, yes, but I would just guess that I'm more capable of, or on the other side, I'm more capable of being surprised. I'm also not as sure of my taste, or more willing, or more, I don't know. The positive way to cast it is I'm more willing and open to trying new foods, and the other side of it is I don't really know. I don't have as a devotion toward, like, I don't hate mustard like you. I don't hate anything the way you hate mustard and pickles. I really don't like black olives. But you have a hatred. You have this passionate distaste, and you ham it up because it's funny. But
Yeah.
I think your distaste really is stronger than my distaste for any other food. So, and I think that plays into it. Anyway,
Yes.
I want to try to read your mind here, because I think the reason you developed this is to make it only at a 1, so it has to be minimally inconvenient. And so you didn't want hunger to get in the way. You didn't want variety to get in the way. And you didn't want nastiness to get in the way. You only wanted control. You wanted to isolate control and remove it. And this was an interesting way of coming up with that. Am I right about that?
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to wedge something into the 1 category for this one, and all of the little things that I added onto it had to be to make the number right. Obviously, I could remove some of those stipulations and it would be worse, actually. So
I think in some ways, though, it's interesting because it has some benefits. Like, I think the 2000 is a benefit. I think it's a huge benefit that I'm not cooking it anymore. Like, crab legs may appear, something that's
you're not
labor-intensive.
cooking and you're not spending money on food. So there you go. Those are some benefits.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Okay, this sounds like overall.
But
more
again, this is the
of a
rest of
superpower.
your life. If you are, going out with people to restaurants, you don't get to eat that stuff. You just get to pound on the table and get it could be like M&M's, Fun Dip, and like creamy ranch.
It could be a condiment. Might be one of my things. They could deconstruct. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you just never know what you're gonna get. You might be sitting at the table at a fancy restaurant at Red Lobster, and you're having to like ask.
Wait. You just a fancy restaurant, Red Lobster, and you're gonna just go walk past that one.
Yeah, and you have to like ask for a straw so you can drink your spicy mayo, meal.
Okay, get to the other.
All right, the
drawback.
The last drawback is sole beneficiary. Short and sweet. You always have a soul patch that cannot by any means be gotten rid of. So
soul beneficiary.
Enjoy being one of those guys.
That's just easily worse. I mean,
that should have been higher than a 1.
Yeah, like it'll never go away.
No, it never. You always have it. Never goes away. Permanent soul patch.
If we were to suggest that I'm a little more shallow than you when it comes to like caring about fashion and looks and things like that, then this hurts me more than it hurts you. Like me going through the rest of my life with a soul patch, because like it just destroys like any look I'm going for. I could buy like a $500 suit or something nice and slick, and then I have a soul patch, and it just ruins it.
I'm not seeing how
that
I'm
looking pretty handsome today, and then never.
You would just have to. Have to really work around that and develop a goatee kind of thing, or maybe like become a doctor, wear one of those face masks, or a ninja or something. I don't know.
I legitimately believe that the social ramifications are not inconsequential. Like I now start off a little more negative when I meet a stranger, and they're just going to be like, okay, all right, and I have that
soul
sort
patch
of
guys.
Yes, I have that to overcome in their mind, and I have a feeling I would hear this story over and over. This sort of, well, when I first met you, I had you pegged all wrong. Like I thought, soul patch, like that should say it all. And and then they'd say something like, you don't really seem like a soul patch kind of guy, because I don't think I don't seem like a soul patch kind of guy. I'm not even going to bother defining what that means. But
apologies to all of our soul patch listeners. The soul patch kids.
The soul patch kids. Okay.
All right, so you got your 4. So what do you think?
Long-winded Bushmaster, RNGMRE, and
yes.
Soul Beneficiary. Random number generating meals
ready to eat.
Meals ready to eat.
Yeah, they're like military rations, but it's just the acronym.
Is it a random number generator though? Like it's just if you
the acronym
food. Okay, gotcha.
Acronym RNG is a popular acronym. MRE is a popular acronym, so I just smushed them together for the title. That's all.
RNG, MRE. I think I could amuse myself with the. Oh, one quick question about long-winded. I can blow across the room 30 feet, concentrated air, no harder than I can currently blow. Right, it's same force.
Yeah, but you can blow pretty hard.
Yeah, I can blow pretty hard, as if I'm like inches away from it, right?
Yeah.
At 28 feet before it's starting to dissipate or whatever, it's just as hard as like 4 inches away. Okay.
Yep.
And it has nothing to do with the longevity of the blow. It's the same amount I could blow right now if I took a deep breath and blew. It's the same.
Yeah, if you took a deep breath and went like that, then
I need to give that a test really quickly. I wanted to do a long, both in terms of time and distance, so it would be like,
go for it. Give me a good blow.
That was
wow.
When you blow hard.
I think I felt that. You already have the superpower.
When you blow hard, you can't blow long. There's a direct correlation. I mean, I could have made it sound really long, but a lot was coming out. Yeah, I'm learning all sorts of things on this podcast. Bushmaster sounds pretty dumb, and I don't have many bushes that I care about, and I like a good square bush.
You could make
it could
bush.
become. I could examine myself and my willingness to take on the art of bushery or whatever, bush shrub molding, and be the best ever. And so there's a whole bushology, but there's a whole path there, and but I don't feel like I would enjoy the company of people who are deeply passionate about bush mastering. I feel like they would they more align with the soul patch people,
Bush League. When it comes to careers, they're kind of Bush League. I think that's where that phrase originated.
Yeah, I think so, etymologically speaking. But I don't I'm not interested in it. It's more impressive, actually, but I don't think I'm interested in it. I'm actually, as a teacher, by the way, this is super unusual, right? Just as unusual it is in the real world. Like, people, I could show it as a party trick, and they'd be just as weirded out as this. I mean, this is everything else is the same about the world.
You're talking about blowing your students?
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, first of all, I had multiple thoughts going on. I could entertain people, with this strange phenomenon, and then I also thought about the sneaky aspect of everyone's writing on a test, or they have extra pencils there, and I just blow them over, and like, if I could learn to do it quietly, and they would not know what the heck's going on, and that just is very funny to me.
You could prank people with it, yeah.
Yeah, lots of prank. It just feels like it works in the classroom while people are distracted, or I should say focused on whatever task is at hand, and then I can just mess with them. It's ripe for that sort of thing. So I think I would choose long-winded, and I'm gonna say RNG MRE, because I was joking earlier about how bad a soul patch would be, because it's really not that. I just can't go away, and I do not like it, but I would get over it quickly, and there's no drawbacks other than this is my new look now. Other than that, it just doesn't affect me. But I'm gonna surprise you and say if it were like Sour Patch Kids and ranch dressing, I think you went a bit far saying just there'd be a whole pocket of ranch. Because what's going to happen next? Like, I get that they might not communicate or taste good together, but really, are we going to talk about getting a thing of condiments like sauces, or because wouldn't it be a ranch on a chicken sandwich or something? I don't know.
If you like a chicken sandwich with ranch, then that's also in the pool of possible foods that.
What if I only like mustard on top, like on a burger? I'm not going to get a thing of mustard, but I do like ranch on lots of things. But I'd never eat. How about it's always things that I can eat standalone? I'm not trying to make the rules here. I just it should be things I eat standalone. So I'm not going to get I appreciate olive oil, but I don't think I'm just going to get a container of olive oil.
That's fair enough, but I'm just trying to get across to you that there are things that you like that don't fit as a part of a meal. So okay,
peanuts or kind of
sure, yeah, right. Fair enough. You're not going to get a cup of ranch. That's maybe a little bit silly for our already silly superpowers and drawbacks. But I was just trying to get across to you that there are probably thousands of foods that you like, and it's not like you're going to be getting, like ribeye steaks often. It's right. If you go and get a ribeye steak, you're going to be like, yeah, this is a great day when I got
it's like hitting
a ribeye steak. Yeah. Right. So other times it might be, like freaking. I don't know, what's something that you only barely like?
I guess like broccoli with little cheese on it.
Although actually, considering you might actually celebrate broccoli or something because, there's a health concern here as well.
That's
because
true.
if you mostly like unhealthy foods, then that's what you
I do.
Get.
And sauteed spinach and stuff. That's what I barely like. Like, I like it, but I don't go like woohoo. Like, it's fine. It's good. It would appear in the thing because it gets positive marks. Yeah. You know what? I might. Well, first of all, I would reject.
Think about that soul patch.
I would walk away from these ones if that's an option. That really is. This might be the first time. I think I've taken the other deals. I'm walking away from this one. Okay. Second of all, I'm thinking more deeply about that soul patch. And just because
everyone does.
The food might end up being bigger. I could do that for a week. I could do that for a year. If you said it was a 5-year commitment, I would even maybe take this deal if I could do the long wind and the RNG MRE. If you said there's a 5-year cap on it, so it's still long, a very long time. But I'm thinking about 15, 20 years down the road, and just going, I want a burger. And I think that would get increasingly frustrating. So I'm walking away, but if there was a time cap, I'd take the RNG MRE. And if I had to choose one for forever, it would be long-winded with the soul patch. There you go. There are my answers.
Well,
How do you feel?
Your final analysis is what I was thinking, actually. So I agree. I think I would for the same reasons that you proposed, prefer long-winded over Bushmaster. Bushmaster is the more profitable, potentially. Like, you could make a career out of being a bush artist, but I don't want to be a bush artist. Like, even if I was like a famous bush artist, I just don't really want to be that.
And you'd have like some reality show called the
Bennett's Best Bush.
Bennett's Best Bush, the triple B. But I like the BABA, the badass bush artist.
That's good. That is good. I changed my mind. But I do like long-winded because I would like pranking people and, I don't know, just blowing people, I guess, with air.
Yes,
like
with air.
I don't know if you remember this, but I'm not sure if I ever showed you this, but there's a toy that I got when I was a kid that was this really big, like, conical gun. I got it from like a fair, I think, or maybe the Museum of Arts and Science or something. But it's like this big plastic.
I know exactly
open
what you're
cone,
talking about.
And on the back end of it, there's like a plastic bag with an elastic band covering the opening in the back, and in the front it's just open. And so you hold up this essentially a round tube, and you go thunk with the plastic bag on the back, and it creates a pressure wave inside and launches this concentrated burst of air surprisingly far. Like, I mean, it might go 30 feet.
It might. I think it does, in fact.
Yeah.
I think it probably says up to 25 feet or 30 feet or something like that on the box, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does go incredibly far and concentrated.
And it's super fun because obviously you can't see the air wave move through the air, but it travels slowly, and like you can go thunk and shoot it across the room and then watch someone's hair go poof, and they're like, "Whoa!" It's really disorienting because you don't feel sensations like that.
And it's not fast. That's what's so confusing.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be so. I don't know why I have this conceptualization of like if you did it, it would be almost immediate, like a gun or something. But no, you can. There can be a full second delay. Yeah. It's strange.
It's really fun.
I don't know if you were describing that for the audience or if you're just not remembering our experience with this particular gun.
I was describing it. I was describing it for the audience, but I don't at least at the moment remember a particular experience between you and I with this gun.
Okay, so that is the toy that we got in Orlando at one of the theme parks.
Oh,
and we were shooting everyone with it, and then we shot this. So we were staying on this nice, not Disney, but Universal. It was Universal. So we're staying on one of the nice hotels there, and are in there. We're walking around. We're probably, I don't know how old we are. Let's just say 12.
We must have been young. Was this the trip where my contacts got washed out in the water slide and I had to walk around Universal Studios without being able to see?
That sounds right. What's interesting is because it didn't affect me much, and I'm inherently selfish, I don't have much of a memory of that. I mean, I have this vague memory of him, of like, oh man, my friend's kind of being annoying about how he can't see. But
I wasn't being annoying.
It's like this
I was
long
like,
memory.
I was willing
you just
to
couldn't
like
see.
I was willing to ride all the rides and go around and everything.
Yeah, but it affects your trip, whereas I'm like deeply, and for me, it's just like, oh well.
You're just
I
like,
guess we
here,
gotta
hand
go
me
find something. I don't
you
know.
can't see who to shoot. Hand me the air gun so I can have fun.
So what happens is we spent the day at the parks shooting people. We were shooting everyone, and we were friendly kids. We weren't little jerks running around. Like for the most part, we'd hit someone with the air pocket. They'd look around confused. They'd see us, and then we'd share a laugh. And like some people, when they see 12-year-old boys, like they're so suspicious of them running around being little jerks that they get kind of frustrated. But we really tried to be friendly. We were not doing this as a "ha ha, gotcha, eat my shorts" sort of attitude. It was a friendly, like we were playful and joyful about it. Right. And then we went back to the hotel, and we're doing this around at the pool, and we actually, my memory is not clear on this, but we hit this girl who was our age. Maybe we were being flirty, I'm not sure, but she flipped out and was like, what?
Really?
And
I don't remember this.
You don't remember? Well, I will keep going and see. Yeah. I'm shocked you don't remember this because, okay, my dad, this is one of his bucket of stories, so I can't believe you haven't. Okay, we're gonna relive this the next time we're around my dad. She goes, what, and then the phrase that, and this is me not exaggerating, this is the moment because she looked around and didn't see us because we were, like we were just saying, you can be far away,
right?
So we did it again. And then I think we did it a third time, and then she's getting upset and not handling this well. At that point, I don't think we were flirting. I think we were like, oh, this is a this is an obnoxious person. Let's
expose.
Yeah. Yes. And so she yells, "What is going on?" And we laughed at that hard enough that her mom saw us, comes up to us, and starts yelling and saying how dangerous this is, which made you laugh. I'm really nervous. I'm really nervous at this.
You're starting to make me remember a little bit. I remember about this woman saying that this burst of air was dangerous.
Right, because it is, to be clear to our audience, this is the safest. There's just, I mean, it's a gentle burst of air.
It's a similar strength as if, you had like a little notebook or something, and you went whew, like you whiffed it up and down in front of someone's face.
Yeah,
that's the strength, kind of the strength of air you could get. Obviously, nothing that's going to injure anyone.
And so, and you and I were reasonably well behaved. We didn't get in much trouble as kids, and we're polite. Like, this was actually pretty. Like, being allowed to wander around the hotel was a sense of freedom and excitement that only comes with being a kid and being allowed to walk around. Even the park, and it was super exciting. And I think this was us being like playfully rebellious, but again, in no way mean. Though I will admit, I think we pivoted toward teasing instead of just fun when we saw how angry the girl was being. And then the mom, she says that, and I'm so uncomfortable when she's come up. I'm basically, I was probably teary-eyed for all I know. That sounds like me, like, oh. And you were also, we were quiet until she said, like, this is dangerous. And then she started, and you laughed, and then she felt, I suppose, like she had to justify how it's dangerous, and her reasoning, she has contacts, you could blind her. And then she ran and got security. But her display of like anger and all was so outrageous that the security came. They made sure we were patrons of the hotel, that we had keys, or our parents, whatever. They just said they even said like, have a nice day. They got us away from the mom, that crazy mom, and just said, don't do it again. All right. And we were like, and we were polite and really. Yeah. We were like, we're sorry, we've just been doing that. And I think they probably chuckled when we left, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then my parents, like, I was really worried about big trouble. I mean, this is security coming down on us,
Right.
I mean, you can imagine the fear of like a well-behaved kid who now all of a sudden is a security contacting the parents to let them know. And we told, and my parents were surprisingly not upset, Right. And I guess it's not surprising now that I'm older. Like at the time, it was baffling that we weren't. Like I was like, I hope we're allowed to go to the parks, kind of thing. I mean, I thought this was going to be big, but you can kind of see. I was like, it's just a crazy mom. Whatever, we'll let this one slide. So,
I took that thing to school with me in my 10th grade physics class because my excuse was that it was physics, and I was shooting my classmates and shooting my physics teacher while she was up, writing notes or whatever.
Yeah,
it was really, really funny.
If you could invent one that's quieter, because that pop is loud, a giveaway of where it's coming from. And like if I were to hear it today, I would know it's that toy because it has the plasticky backing, and so
you could probably make one that's a stealth air puff gun.
But you should work on that. You should engineer one of those.
Maybe you should,
and then give it to me as a gift.
Nah, but So anyway, like that. Long-winded is what I'm choosing for that same reason, and I think I would choose the soul patch one, soul beneficiary as well. I can probably rock a soul patch better than anyone. So
even if that's true, you cannot rock a soul patch well.
I would probably just start a Smash Mouth cover band called Smash South. We would be a mixture between Lynyrd Skynyrd and Smash Mouth. And
Smash South.
Yeah, since they have soul patches. And so.
And Lynyrd Skynyrd's from the South.
Yeah, that's the best I could do on the spur of the moment. So.
I'll take it. So, speaking of gifts.
Oh, yeah, we were speaking of gifts.
I said you could gift it to me.
That's right. I won't. But yeah, gifts, that's our podcast topic this evening. So, like, I guess it's a timely topic since the holidays just passed, and you do Kwanzaa, is that right? And I do Christmas.
Yeah, celebrate Kwanzaa. What's the Seinfeld one.
I don't know. I actually never watched
Festivus.
Seinfeld.
It's Festivus for the rest of us. It's the invented holiday. The notion that you could invent a holiday has a bunch of episodes to it. Anyway.
So I guess let's just ease into it. Did you get any nice gifts this year?
Well, okay, back to the flu thing. I didn't get to go home, so we're going to exchange gifts when I go home this weekend.
So you still don't have your gifts, huh?
Right.
Man, that sucks. You're probably not going to get anything.
I hate to say that, I mean, I guess I live a pretty good life and have a fairly humble existence, and I don't feel... Like when you're a kid, you see the commercials and you're into whatever that product is or whatever your friends are having, and I don't... I mean, I like a nice dress shirt. I have a good TV. I don't know. And my vehicle works. I don't feel... I mean, you even to a lesser extent, right? Like your drive for something. Like I'll see a tech product and go, oh man, I want that. And then I'll look at the price and go, it's just so easy for me to not want it after I really think it through. Whereas I think you never even want it. Like you don't have some desire. I get fooled by the commercial. I see it and want it. But then it dissipates quickly. Like my desire, like I know it's manufactured. I know I've been manipulated, and then it goes away. So I don't really want anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can definitely get on board with that attitude this year. I had, like, usually I can think of something that, is gift worthy that I can say, hey, if you want to get me something for Christmas, then this will work. But I couldn't think of anything this year. There weren't a lot of new things that came out that I wanted, and like my necessities are met. I'm kind of like you, like my car works, my TV's all right, like my needs are met, which I'm grateful for. And so I don't know, I didn't have anything that I really asked for. So,
and if there's something you need, I mean, I got I think it's called the Google Nest router, and it's awesome. And I needed a router, and then I bought one, and then months ago or whatever. And so you buy what you need, and then so shirts, great, but I've gotten really particular about my shirts and specific, and the different types and the fit and the prints and it's fun to shop for them for me. Like look at them for a while. Think about the different patterns. I know that sounds silly, but I wouldn't want to just say, get me this shirt in terms of get me this brand. And they're expensive too.
But
so
at least you could go on to shirts.com or whatever and like
highlight the place I buy shirts.
Highlight the link and send it to whoever and say, this is what I want. But
yes, there are some things, yeah.
I didn't have anything even that I could think of to do that with. Like,
but I don't have anything under like 100. Like the shirts are like $125, say, and so I'm not gonna just send. That's the thing.
I can't imagine spending $125 on a shirt. Like, I guess that tells you a little bit about like my fashion care level.
Well, and I could get all into why I like the shirts. It's not just fashion, but it doesn't. It's not a little stocking stuffer, and so that's why it almost, when we talk about gifts, like I don't feel comfortable sending a link for $125. If my parents were like, okay, what do you want? Like, what are some little things we can get you? I mean, I have some hot sauce brand that I like. I have some but these are just. It's just. I don't know. Like, what are we doing here? What is this whole process?
I want to dig down on that, like with your parents anyway. Like, I guess. I'll ask for clarification. Of all the people who give you gifts for Christmas, are your parents the ones who give you generally the most valuable gift?
Monetarily, yeah, absolutely.
Then why would it make you uncomfortable to send a link to your mom and say, hey, for Christmas this year, this $125 shirt is something I want? Like, is that would that make you uncomfortable to do that?
If I wanted, I guess I can have the pleasure of shopping, then send it. If I just wanted shirts, then fine. But like they'll ask for a list, and I will send them like, oh, I would love to put a lift on the 4Runner. I'd like to do a 3-inch lift. I'd love some all-terrain tires. These are just, but to me, this is ultra luxury. Those are both expensive as hell. I would love even like tinting the windows, but I think that probably gets into $500 plus. I don't know what tinting. Maybe that's cheaper. But it's also like time intensive. And what am I going to do? They can't give me that morning. It's like taking it to a shop and I think it's a testament to my desire for it. It's like, well, okay, if I can't get it it's like, I guess I'm not answering your question. Yes, if it were just a shirt, that's fine. I did send them a list of some shirts, and I did do that, and maybe they got me some. I don't know, but
so when you said it's uncomfortable for you to, at least I interpreted it as this gift is too expensive for me to send a link. Like, that doesn't apply for your parents, but maybe for someone else. Is that kind of what you were suggesting?
Yeah, like my girlfriend, or even I feel strange because all my needs are met, and I really actually let me put it this way: I actually have plenty of shirts that I really like right now, and so when I shop or look at them online, I'm being silly. I have right now, I think 10, maybe 11 white, nice button-down shirts, and they're perfect. They worked really well, and then this brand name will emerge that's like $125, and it's got 19 more times more breathable than cotton, and engineered by NASA, and quick drying, and ultra soft, and whatever.
How many stretch ways?
This one's only 4-way. I have a 6-way stretch. Check out Buttercloth if you're into the 6-way. But I learned that they want their clothes.
Dude, what do you think you're doing? We're not getting paid for these ads.
I can't say brand names.
No.
Can I really
We're
not?
Ad
No,
free. No, we can.
And then Ministry of Supply, which I'm currently wearing for the first time, and I love it. It's the best shirt I've ever put on. No lie, seriously. But it's a $125 shirt. Anyway, the point is, I'm looking at these white button downs online and chuckling to myself. I have I want to get an 11th button down no one, I wore it today, and usually if I wear something I can't help but talk about it a little bit, like how it's made by NASA or something. and I didn't say anything because no one's going to notice because I look exactly so I've maxed out in how it looks good and it fits well, and now I'm into the comfort thing, but anyway, it's silly. It's silly. I don't need to. I can't justify me spending it or them spending it when I have shirts that work. So it's not about the $125. It's a principled. I can't say I can't allow myself even to get that excited when my needs are met. So
right.
It's like you eating tons of lobster, loving lobster, and then someone says, "Did you know that there is this?" Ultra rare lobster when you're already eating very rare lobster, and it's like, and then you shell out a bunch of money for that. That just seems kind of stupid. So,
right? Yes,
that's the point.
That's actually a good. I had an experience similar to your lobster experience. Surprisingly, steak is one of my favorite foods. I grill steaks all the time,
mm-hmm.
and I go to the grocery store and get like a $10 ribeye and grill it, and it's like the best steak I've ever had. But recently I was on a trip for work, and I went to a nice restaurant, and it was a steakhouse, and they had a really expensive steak, and I was like, well, that sounds good, I'll get it. And this is with per diem, and I got this really expensive steak that I would never have bought on my own. And it's kind of the same idea. I could not appreciate this expensive steak because the value was so absurd compared to...
Was it delicious? Walk me through.
Look, it was good. It was very tasty, but it wasn't really as good as my steaks. And, in my own opinion, it wasn't as good as my steaks, and yet it was 4 times the cost. And wow. It's like, this isn't worth it. I wouldn't have done that with my money. And so, I couldn't, if I imagined that rather than it being per diem money, if instead I was asking someone for a gift and I said, oh, well, there's this really nice steak you could get me, I wouldn't do that because I recognize that the value of that steak is so poor.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I am with gifts as well. I find it really difficult to ask for things that I wouldn't buy myself. And if there is something that I would buy myself, I probably would have already bought it for myself. So actually, it's pretty rare for me to have an outstanding gift that I want, because essentially what I have to do is save up in the months approaching Christmas. Okay, I want this thing, but I'm not gonna buy it because this is a gift. I can tell someone to give me this for a gift, which this sounds ridiculous, right? I feel like I feel like this is a really dumb thing to even have to engage in.
Well, it sounds counter to like what are you trying
what gift giving
to do?
is, right?
Yes, what is gift giving? That's the question I really wanted to open with, so we can define some parameters. Like, what is gift giving? Because what we're talking about and what we're muddling through is just like
just like ceremonial rote tradition stuff, and I don't appreciate, like, people have jokingly but partially accurately classified me as a Scrooge at Christmas time, because like I don't get a lot out of all of the Christmassy stuff. I tell people to take their lights down on the 26th, and kind of jokingly, and like I don't put up a tree, and I don't have, well, also gifts just aren't something that I value that much. Like, if we want to get into a love languages discussion, gifts are like the last one on the list to me. But like, it's just, there's a difference between gifts of obligation and, gifts of thoughtfulness. Like, in an ideal world, to me, whenever you give or receive a gift, it would be because either the gift giver knows that the gift receiver is really going to appreciate the gift, or because the gift giver gets so much joy out of giving the gift that it makes it worth it regardless of the receiver's response.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, so gift giving defined ideally would be like a tangible display of altruism, in terms of like let's define it so it's not like acts of service, because some people would call that gifts. You could really loosely define gifts as like, here's my attention, here's my gift to you, my attention. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what we're asking. That's what we want from an audience. Like, we want the gift of attention from them. Like, we need to treat it as a gift. But we're not really talking about that. That's all. That's right. That's not. We're talking about tangible presence almost, or like whether it's ceremonial at Christmas time, or whether it's just like, hey, I got you. I was thinking of you, and I got you this, and here I am presenting it to you, like gift giving moment. Is that fair to say? That's what we're talking about. So
it doesn't have to be Christmas. It could be birthday or housewarming gift, or
just
baby shower, or I saw this at the store and thought of you, or whatever. Like, or whatever. It could be any of those.
So this tangible display of altruism, ideally, like, I know you wanted this product or had this need for this product or had a desire or whatever, and or I thought I connected dots, and even though you don't know this product exists, and that's maybe one of the cooler forms, right? Like, they don't know about the product, you know enough about them, and so it's a display not only that you know them well, but it's fulfilling a need or a desire or a want.
Sure. And thoughtful gift. That's what I classify as thoughtful gift.
That's a good way to put it. And if given in the true spirit of giving, then it's a display of altruism. It's like, because I mean, I'm trying to think about
like when you say altruism, what do you mean? Usually, altruism means like to help someone, right?
Just being selfless, like it's an altruistic display. So
you're giving without any expectation of getting a return gift,
no strings attached. Like, and what better way? Like, trying to maybe teach kids what does it mean to be kind. It's like, share your toys, because if you just tried to speak abstractly to like a 4-year-old, I don't feel like you're going to get it through. But if you teach them the power of gift giving and sharing, and these are like tangible, like displays, they're physical almost. You can see sharing your toys, you can see a gift, and it makes sense. It's concrete, that has abstract ramifications. Like a value that we aspire to is altruism, whether we can or whether altruism even exists, like whether selflessness exists. Is to be debated, but like, it should be a goal, I think, to sort of turn outward and help, and I think that's the core. I can
get on board with
giving.
that. Yeah, okay. I'm on board with that definition. I think I agree with you.
And then but it falls horribly and terribly. So we almost started at the opposite point.
Yeah. So let me
bastardized version.
Let me just ask you this: like, given that definition of gift giving, what percentage of the gift giving that happens to you or from you, at Christmas, is that kind of gift giving?
Very low. I mean, I would think like over time, there's sometimes special gifts, or you get an idea that's great, and you might even, here's the funny thing, is because of Christmas and birthdays, I'll think of an idea, and instead of doing it then, I'll go, oh, this would be good for Christmas, and I'll write it down. And to be honest, most of them are like mediocre ideas. Like my dad loves photography, so if I hear of someone was like on a podcast and they were a photographer and they had a book that's supposedly how to do it and it was really great, and so I'll write down their book. That'd be a good idea. I'll get that next Christmas or something. Right. But that's not this sort of wow, I'm demonstrating some deep understanding. This is like, it fits with this thing I know they like. It's like Bennett cooks steaks. I'll sign him up for a subscription to a nice steak of the month club. Like, okay, that is good. It's fine. It's good. There's nothing wrong, but it's not this sort of demonstrable altruism that I'm talking about, where it would be. Well, actually, without giving the whole backstory, I think the blanket gift you gave me, the bizarre and hilarious blanket gift, which I could. Would you care to tell?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll try to tell the quickest version because I don't. It could be.
You want
long
me to tell
and
it, or
winding.
you tell it?
You tell it. It's like an abbreviated version.
The most abbreviated version is that, well, we've been friends ever since we were in like third grade or something, and we had this tradition as kids of hanging out over the summers, and we would film these stupid videos. And at one of the times we were hanging out, one of the times we were filming videos, there's this tradition that came about. The Funny Faces by Daniel, and you would make this funny face, and we got it on video, and it became a thing. It was really silly, so it became a thing that we made fun of every subsequent year. And I ended up having lots of pictures of you making.
Well, hold on. I did the same face. So the first year it was different faces impressions, and then it just devolved into the same face, regardless of what impression was asked of me.
As we were making fun of our previous year's selves, it became this running joke where you would, no matter what face we told you to make, you would make the same face. And so I had like a whole bunch of pictures of you making that same face over the years. Like, we're talking about from 6th grade all the way into college and beyond. I had pictures of you making this face.
So funny.
And I happened to be in Walmart one day, and I was walking past their photo section or something, and I saw on their sign that they had customizable blankets. And you could put whatever you want on the blanket. You just make a picture, and they'll and put it in on the website, and they'll create a blanket out of it. And I was like, it would be hilarious if I photoshopped up a few dozen of these pictures of you on a giant throw blanket, and you also have some other quirks, like you love exposed brick, so I made the background of it like exposed brick, and then put your face like tiled on this blanket, and then got it's from Walmart, and they sent it to me, and I don't usually get you gifts really ever.
No, we don't exchange gifts. It's not part of our relationship.
Right, and so, but this year I was like, I couldn't resist. I just thought the idea was so goofy and funny that I got your face tiled on a decorative blanket and gave it to you for Christmas one year. So,
and to be clear, it's like woven in the threads. It's not like they painted on, like they just kind of ran it through a big printer on a fabric.
Right.
The color of the thread, so it's low res but high quality in a weird way. So it's like the image isn't super sharp, but it will never go away. It's not like it'll fade or something. It is the color of each thread to interwoven to create the image. So it's a pretty incredible piece.
And definitely from a distance, you can tell, like, hey, that's your face a lot of times. Like, it's very clear what's on the blanket.
Do you? Yes, it is. And do you recall how you gave it to me?
No, I don't think so.
I'm glad you don't. That doesn't surprise me because it was distinctly unceremonious. You come in. It was around Christmas, maybe day after or something, and you go, "Hey, I got you this," and you toss it at me, and I'm like, it's weird because a blanket hits me, which is not. And there's something, yeah. Well, I didn't know what to do. The funny factor almost like broke a fuse. Like I was in awe, like as I hold it up, and it's so funny, and it's weird, and it's also like weird to get me because it's like a combination of actually incredibly sweet and sentimental, but bizarre and like
I love that mixture.
Touching. It's just. Bizarre and sentimental. That's a unique mixture. I don't know many times in my life where it's like, oh, this is weird, that's hilarious.
Well, it's just like it's because I know how much you appreciate weirdness, and so like that was part. I mean, as I was standing in Walmart, that was the motivation. Was this is so weird? Like this is perfect because it's so weird. Not because I thought you would get cold and like need a blanket.
That's an additional benefit. It's a quality blanket that I use to this day. It was a throw on my couch for a very long time. And by the way, you just for context too, that you did it was probably 5 or 6 years ago now, believe it or not, maybe longer.
Yeah,
and so,
yeah.
Because I feel like there's been if you want to get a blanket of something, it's more ubiquitous now. It's more commonplace to be able to take anything and get some. It's easy to go get like a shot glass with my face on it or a spoon. If you just name a product, they'll go professionally put it on. But this was maybe right before that easy access explosion of it. So it was like not something I had conceptualized ever. And so that really surprised me too. So just a great display of altruism.
Thank you. That's what I aim for.
You know, but by the standards we were defining, I would say that's the best. That's a because I knew too that I knew your taste and your feelings about gift giving, and that they were. I did not feel like I didn't get you anything. You're not even a fan.
Thank good. Well,
like,
actually, like I'm very grateful for that, and in fact. If I thought that your response would have been, "Oh no, now I feel obligated to get Bennett something," that would have deterred me from getting you the gift, because that's actually one of my primary critiques of gift giving, or I shouldn't say critiques. That's why I don't like the gift giving stuff, because it seems like inevitably when you give a gift, whether thoughtful or not, there's some strings attached, and you know the other person expects to reciprocate in some way. If they don't reciprocate, then you've made them feel bad. If they reciprocate with a worse or better gift, just a gift that's not equivalent to yours, there's weird feelings going on. I don't like all of that stuff. Like I like it to just be a pure thing. Like, oh, here's something you will enjoy, take it. And now like I have no more part to play in this except in enjoying your reaction, and I don't expect anything else from this interaction.
All of that is totally valid, but to push you, like, doesn't part of you go, well, just if you would just offer an ounce of, like, okay, there's strings attached, people get their feelings hurt. There's a lot of crap that comes with gift giving, and I feel like it's easy to poke fun at or critique, and like you are doing that, and it's all I can't help but agree with you, but at the same time, I'm like, man, it's just obvious displays of goodwill to me.
Oh yeah,
holistically.
Sure. I don't doubt that they're displays of goodwill. Like for Christmas this year, I didn't really ask for anything, and I go home and I have all my aunts and uncles and cousins and everything, and I didn't ask for anything specifically. They could have just not given me anything. I actually would have been okay with that, but they gave me a card with like $20 or a gift card or something. And is it super thoughtful? No, but obviously I'm not going to say, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
What am I going to do with this Target and Amazon gift card? I never."
No, I'm super grateful, and I'm very glad to receive the gifts regardless of their thoughtfulness level. And I say thank you, and I don't see it as ill will, but I will admit that it makes me a little bit uncomfortable, because maybe it's that my philosophy on gift giving is too strong, but like I didn't get my aunt and uncle anything for Christmas because, well, I couldn't think of anything really thoughtful to get them. Like there was nothing that I saw around. I was like, oh, you know what? I could make a blanket with my aunt's face on it. Like That one was already played out, and I couldn't do that. And so I don't know. I don't get my aunt and uncle anything, but they still get me, a gift card or a book or something, which is nice. But it makes me feel really weird because Because in my eyes, gift giving is about, at least on some level, thoughtfulness. Like, if you're not giving a thoughtful gift, then really can't you just call it a wash and neither person give each other a gift?
That's a good point. I mean, because you're entering, it's the social contract side that inevitably comes with a gift that you're
that's kind of what
about.
I'm getting at, and that it makes me uncomfortable because, like with you and I, we understand each other and our interaction enough to know that there's zero reason, regardless of if I get you a blanket one year, like, to feel like you owe me a gift sometime in the future, or like that doesn't enter into it. It's simply like, here's a weird thing I did, and when we, for the many years that we don't get each other anything for Christmas, we don't think anything of it. But I don't have that same level of understanding with everyone, and like my aunts and uncles now, I see once or twice a year, and I haven't spent a significant amount of time with them since I was a lot younger, and so it's not like I know what they would use or even enjoy on a day-to-day basis. It would just be something like, here's your Target gift card. Thanks for this Target gift card. Like it's just passing a Target gift card back and forth. And I guess for some people, that's kind of what happens, and that's the tradition, and they accept
part of their relationship. They enjoy that aspect of, I thought of you, you thought of me.
But I just don't like, I can conceptualize that, but to me, it just seems like, are we really going to trade Target gift cards? Like, I don't want to do this Target gift card trading.
My mom and her sister, so my aunt, have agreed to do every year as they take, it's either $50 or $100, but they take the bill and they exchange a $50 bill and a $50 bill, or $100 or $100, whatever it is. But they decided part of the... So that's what they did for years, just here you go, and then hug each other and maybe like say some nice words. And now it's actually a nice little tradition where they present it in unique ways. Like my mom baked it in a cake one year, and
that's funny. See, that's nice.
My aunt put it in like a puzzle box, or you hide it in a strange way, and I think it's loving, and it doesn't cost. The point is that it's almost a perfect illustration of what you're saying is like, well, if we're going to pass Target cards back and forth, we might as well not do it. But what you're losing is the I thought of you, you thought of me, and that's the core of gift giving. And I think that's hard to argue against. But there's a lot of room for messy errors. But again, coming to it with goodwill and coming to it with I thought of you, you thought of me. It just ultimately... Even though I hold a lot of your positions, I hold like a very, very light version. I feel like you feel pretty firm in your visions, because I have a unique, or not unique, I have a similar situation to yours where my cousin, who I don't know exactly how much older she is than me, but I'll say 15 years older. And that might be really wrong, but I remember I was younger and she was older at one point. I was like 10, and we'll just say 10, and she's 25. So she would get me little gifts, and I'm 10, and I wouldn't get her one. My parents would get her one, and we'd collectively give it to her.
Sure.
And then she continued to get me gifts. To this day, she gets me a gift, and it is thoughtful and it's touching. And I never started giving her, which I feel like a jerk about. But I don't want to enter into a contract where then it's Christmas time and I got to pull out my list of 35 people, get them all $20 items. Look what that does. I can't do that. And it's not 35 people. I'm exaggerating, but where do I draw the line? And and then I'm starting to not get people some gifts and give people some gifts, and like, my cousin, but my cousin that I speak to a little less, it doesn't get one. I don't know. It gets messy, and that's frustrating. And so, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yes, that is. I mean, that was another thing that I was going to ask you about, or at least note, was that with family in particular, there's this weird, well, I guess it's a transition, but like, when you're a kid, no one expects you to get gifts for, your cousins and your aunts and uncles and everyone in your family, maybe there are some parents that instill this gift-giving, admirable gift-giving thing where the kid, makes a little clay Dalmatian or something, and draws a picture, those kind of things, and that's fine. But no one really expects a 7-year-old to go buy gifts for
there's no
everyone.
Earning power and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But at some point, at some point they get older and they're a teenager. Maybe they get their first job and they're 17. Like, then when do you turn from a kid who has zero expectations to give a gift into a person, whether a teenager or a young adult or an adult, that there is kind of an expectation of gift giving? Because I have the same experience where, my aunts and uncles, even a cousin of mine who is 1 year younger than me, so we spend a lot of time together growing up, and, we didn't get each other gifts specifically. It was just kind of the group thing, like you say. My family would get her a gift, and her family would get me a gift, and on the card it would say, from us, it would be all of my family.
Yeah.
And so we didn't get each other gifts, but then, like, eventually she, moved out, went to college, and got married, and just had a kid recently. And, like, for the last handful of Christmases, she has gotten me a gift for Christmas. This is weird, right? Because I've never gotten her a gift for Christmas personally.
It's like she entered into the contract saying, hey, I've probably I'm projecting here, but saying, I've grown up, I've entered into this, thought of you, I'm doing something nice, and you're kind of going, I mean, the take on it would be like, oh, well, Bennett hasn't done that. He hasn't entered into the adult world of, like, this is what we do. We give gifts, and it's thoughtful, and so therefore you're being not thoughtful and not mature and not possibly. That's the negative.
Right,
this
possibly,
is all the negative
that's
social
the thing.
stuff.
None of this is explicit. Nothing is made explicit. And, like, actually thinking back on it, like, the first time she got me a gift, I think it just caught me completely off guard, and I was just like, oh, thanks. And I didn't think about I didn't think, like, oh, I didn't think about any of that. I was just like, this is weird, and whoa. But then the next year, she got me something, and it was like a little, it was actually thoughtful. It was a little game that we used to play when we were kids, and we would stay at our grandparents' house after school. Just, like a little $2 thing of pickup sticks or something. But it was a nostalgic gift, and I was like, oh wow, that's actually, it might have been the most thoughtful gift I got that year. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, I really appreciate that. But I still didn't get her anything, and I didn't get her anything this past Christmas. But like, kind of the same struggle that you were having with your cousin. Like, when do you enter into this contract? I don't know the answer to that. And, like, actually, I wonder if the best strategy isn't to, we talk about harmony all the time, to just be harmonious, and so that people's expectations, like, maybe for a year or two they go, oh, man, I got Bennett pickup sticks and he didn't get me, like, Rummy Cube or anything the next year. Like, he didn't pay back this obligation. Maybe they have that for a year or two, but, after the third or fourth year, they're like, oh, yeah, Bennett, this is just the way it is. And they can decide at that point either, well, I'm the kind of person that gives gifts regardless, or I'm going to stop giving him gifts.
That's an interesting way to put it, because my cousin, who now, I mean, we're well into over a decade in which I could have been reciprocating by giving a gift. I have not. And I had this uncomfortable, like, with the years she continued to give to me, and I was getting older. I was, like, in college and stuff. And then, especially when I got my first real job, so to speak, I was like, you know what? Next year, maybe I'll remember, like, I would be kind of thoughtless, I guess, and just like, oh, yeah. When she'd give me the gift, it'd be this moment of, oh, that's really nice. I didn't get her one. I feel kind of bad. Maybe next year I'll get her one. And then at some point, I just said, no, I'm not doing this. And she continues to give me the gifts. And so I choose to believe, because like you were saying, none of this is explicit. None of this is talked about. Like, so it's unfair for me to project, she's trying to get me into the social contract. She's probably, ticked off or thinks I'm selfish or immature. Or maybe it's actually
I can't believe that.
It's just this.
Yeah, I can't believe that after 10 years that someone is going to hold some gift-giving grudge.
No,
I would just
I believe
would just come
genuine.
Around. Yeah, I would just believe. I would make myself believe. Maybe this is just a coping thing. I would just say they're the kind of person that likes to give gifts and makes them happy to give gifts, and so I will gratefully accept even a not thoughtful gift, a gift card or whatever. Like, I will be truly appreciative and accept it in good faith and be happy about the season and all that Christmassy nonsense. Like, I'll participate in all of that because they get joy out of it.
Christmassy nonsense.
Yeah, I know. I can't hold it back. But still, like, I'm not gonna, unless a thoughtful gift occurs to me or I come across something, I'm just not going to enter into this contract permanently.
Do you think this is the same topic, just a slight shift? So the idea, we talked about it being a display of altruism, ideally, gift giving. Do you think animals... I actually have an interesting study I want to talk about that was just recently released. I heard it on NPR today, and I was like, wow, this could kind of fit into our conversation of gifts potentially. But can animals be altruistic, or can they just give gifts that aren't just kind of an obvious... I feel like there's probably ones with obvious mutual benefits. Like, what would your take on that be?
Very interesting question. Let me think about it. So I assume are we talking about any animals, or are we talking about like domesticated pets, or
well,
what?
I guess if you think as like a psychologist or a social scientist, and like they're interested in the evolution of altruism, why humans, and for a long time that was just what we thought humans. One of the things that made us distinct from, even though we are animals, but something that makes us unique is our ability to be selfless or do something altruistically. And why did we ever develop that? So the evolution of altruism is fascinating. And so back. So what was your question specifically? Are we talking about pets?
Which animals are we talking? Any animals, or
this is any animals? Yeah, just anything you can think of.
Well, when I like the most common thing I think that you would imagine is like a dog. People see dogs as loyal and selfless pets, and they'll wait for you at the door when you come home, and people tend to personify dogs quite a bit. And so I imagine if you were to just poll lots of people and ask them about what's the most giving, altruistic animal, they would talk about dogs a lot. But like I do think that's personification. I don't think that dogs are selflessly giving. They certainly don't have the capability to understand the abstract concept, but like I think that it's more a realization that this is the person that feeds me and gives me attention, and therefore I am going to pay attention to them, and I think they can sense positive and negative vibes, and there's a psychological reinforcement of the positive vibes. So they participate in behaviors that generate positive effects and avoid behaviors that generate negative effects. But where I'm less knowledgeable though is about, and I imagine that's what the study that you're going to talk about is like in more intelligent animals like chimpanzees, primates, or I don't know, maybe like dolphins or something. Dolphins probably would kill you, and they're not altruistic. They probably murder you. But like chimpanzees or something, I would be interested to know whether they have arranged some sort of experiment or environment in which a chimp will give something seemingly altruistically.
Well, that's the thing.
So why don't you tell me a little about it?
Well, first, it's worth noting that like measuring altruism is very difficult because, like you were just saying about dogs, because altruism has a motivational component. We can't ask an animal so what were you thinking through this process?
even
Why
like
did you behave this way?
Even like you said earlier in the conversation, you could debate whether altruism even exists for humans, and that's it's a legitimate debate you could have, whether you can truly have selfless motivations or not.
Right, because
so
if it
obviously
benefits
you could have the same debate about chimps.
Yes. But like, do they demonstrate something I could like record in data? Because the problem with like dogs or pets is that once you have a master, I don't want to confuse altruism with nice, kind behavior. I think dogs can be nice and kind. I have no issue going, that is a nice dog who truly senses you're sad and then comes over to help you because they are sad that you're sad, and it's not to their benefit when you are sad, right? They want.
Well, what about a cat who leaves a dead bird on the doorstep? Is that a gift, or what's going on?
We
there?
don't even. I mean, if you're just asking my opinion, there's too many variables. They are hunters, and that's what they do. I mean, so it could just simply be their instinct. It could be like we call them gifts, but we don't really know. And it could be even if it is something thoughtful, because I think animals can be reasonably thoughtful and like an intentional, I'm giving this to my owner, but like there's some connection to a benefit they'd gain from it. In fact, when I was reading this study, I clicked on a few others and I went down a rabbit hole, but I disagree with some of the other. This study that I'll show you, which is actually about parrots, so I'll surprise you there. It's about parrots, not primates.
Parrots are cool,
but there was some links to about rats and bats that have even shown some possible altruism. I mean, I clicked on those too, but here's the deal: like they showed that rats would work to, if like they're in a maze or one of their buddies is stuck. I didn't read these closely, but they would work altruistically to let them out. But like I could see a situation in which they feel letting that person or that other rat free is going to benefit them, and so like. Not so sure that's altruism, even though it's cool that that's thoughtful, that's reasoning logically. I'm not convinced it's still not for, not altruistic reasons. But this one's interesting. So it was
parrots.
So it was a recent study published in the journal called Current Biology, and blah 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 names of the people. But what they did is they used these what are they called? African gray parrots. So they used parrots that had previously been trained to understand that specific tokens, they're just in the form of small metal rings, could be traded for a food treat through an exchange window. So it's in a cage, there's an exchange window, and it has tokens. And in their experiment, this exchange window was covered up and closed on one bird's cage, making it impossible for the bird to trade. The bird had a pile of tokens in its cage, but no way to use them. Meanwhile, its neighbor in an adjacent cage had an open exchange window, but no tokens for food. So after sizing up the situation, the token-rich bird would help out its pal by passing tokens through an opening between the two bird enclosures, and the bird shared, even though it didn't partake in the walnut payoff. So they would give the token, get a walnut, then they closed it up, and the other one, it would literally pass off tokens to the other bird so it could get a walnut payoff.
Right, and one bird was essentially paying for food. Right. Okay. But when you would expect, if the bird with the food was, selfish, non-altruistic, he would just eat all of his food and not think about the other birds and his stupid tokens.
Well, okay.
Right?
So to be clear, they have this tray, this trading tray. So if they shut it off, there's no trading going on, but the other birds is still open, and he basically has this currency to get some walnuts, but no way to buy them because the trade tray is shut off. Does that make sense? Like he's learned that if I give you this token, I get a walnut.
Oh, I see. So he doesn't have a stockpile of food. He just has nothing.
No. He just has. It's just I should kind of start over. I probably didn't describe it well, but so you've got the bird in a cage, and they've been trained to know that if I give you a token, I get a walnut. I give you a token, I get a walnut. Both birds know this. They understand this, and they both actually are separated in the middle by a partition it's just consider it two cages next to each other. That's easier to conceptualize. Yeah. And then
and one bird.
So they take the tokens away from one.
Yeah.
They take the tokens away one. So one has like 10 tokens and one has 0 tokens. The one with 10 tokens, now they close the trading tray. So he can no longer put his token in the trading tray and get a walnut. So it's done. Okay. He has all these tokens, but he has no way to get a walnut anymore. So he literally took the tokens in his mouth and would go hand them to that other parrot. And that parrot could then, who had no tokens, now has his tokens or that parrot's tokens and would go. And this particular species, this African gray parrot, they tried it with ravens. Ravens didn't care. They did not help each other at all. They tried it with another form of parrot, didn't care. But this particular kind, they really like. And in fact, it says a similar study in ravens did not find this effect. When they tested the blue-headed macaws, they weren't helpful either. The macaws tried to bring the tokens as close as possible to the experimenter, like really getting close and trying to stick it out there. But did not transfer the token to the partner. So something
that's
interesting is going, and they never got any food from it. They made sure to not give them food from it, so it's not like they benefited other than that sort of warm pleasure of I gave my friend something.
So I could still see. I find that fascinating, and I really love studies like that. I think that's so interesting. But couldn't
8
you
birds,
still
by
see
the way? So this wasn't some giant thing, but yeah.
8 birds? You said?
Yeah, they did a study of 8. Yeah, 8 birds.
Eight of these gray African gay parrots. You said?
Yeah, African gray parrots. Yes.
I thought you said they were gay parrots. I was wondering if that played into it at all.
Gay parrots. Okay.
regardless, like I find it really interesting. But couldn't you see this as a problem-solving solution by the parrot? Like the parrot's model of the real world could be, if I give, like, they obviously understand the exchange token for food. Give token to human, get walnut. Like that, they understand and have figured out. But now the barrier is in place, and they can no longer give token to human. But this parrot over here, I could give token to parrot. Parrot could give token to human, and then like. But then I guess where the real trick is that the human gives the walnut to the second parrot, right? And does the second parrot pass the walnut back to its buddy?
Right, no, it does not pass it back. And I don't know enough if there's some
inability.
It doesn't pass it, enjoys the food.
Well, then this is nonsense, right? Because that doesn't show altruism to me. That shows problem-solving method on the token parrot, but it doesn't show altruism on the parrot who got the food. That just shows like, oh, well, guess I got some food. It would be altruistic if he then passed that walnut back to his buddy that gave him the token.
I guess you're right. So they're trying to attribute altruism to the person who gave up the tokens, but maybe that person, or no, I keep saying person, that's strange, sorry. That parrot, just thought they were going into complex problem solving, and then the other parrot just screwed him over and said, no, I'm eating the walnut, possibly. And that's why it's a problem. In fact, they're quoted saying we're really interested in this topic and it's an important topic. The problem is it's very, very hard to design an experiment to truly demonstrate what is truly going on with these animals.
Right. Yeah, I agree that would be difficult. It seems like you could go one step further in that once you train the parrots in that way, like then maybe you like reopen the trading door for the first parrot and only have one parrot have tokens and maybe they get 2 walnuts per token or something like that, and the other parrot has no tokens and no walnuts, and so they're really hungry, and the test is to see if the first parrot, having learned all of this stuff supposedly, will share walnuts at all. And I doubt that they would.
Right.
But that would be the purpose of the study.
I don't know how to test altruism, and I guess if we just start to assume, like, what they're assuming is, since this parrot has no use for these tokens, they're willing to just give it up. They're willing to go help for no benefit. Here's my tokens because I understand you can now use them and have walnuts. What I don't understand is if they were passing not just 1 or 2, they would pass over all 10 coins. And so what I don't quite get is, why didn't that parrot just passing it back, a few of them back, that would have been either gratitude, altruism, I'm not sure, a sense of fairness, consideration of others. Like, I'm not as convinced that this parrot might just be smart and thinking this parrot will give me a walnut. Well, and it's worth the risk. You could put yourself in the parrot's shoes and imagine, the parrot understands the concept of, if I give a human this token, I get food. And, you could imagine a different experiment where they put a little wall between the parrot and the human, and the parrot has to, like, flap over the wall and give it, oh, great, you overcame the obstacle, have a walnut. And then they have the parrot in a little maze, and, he navigates around the maze, gives the token, he gets some food. This is just another obstacle in the way, except now the obstacle is I have to give the token to my buddy who gives it to the human. Like, I can understand a parrot making that connection,
And I don't see any.
And that's not even that revolutionary or
that doesn't seem
groundbreaking.
revolutionary to me. Now, like that, the second parrot participates. Could be if he wasn't trained on that, but he was trained. So I don't know. Maybe
one participating is impressive if they're like and willing to give up some food right when they've gotten.
If they're willing to give up the food,
rewards in their mouth. That's
right.
an
That's
interesting
the thing. That's interesting.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just because I don't have all of the details, or maybe this is a preliminary study. Either way, I find it interesting. Just not quite super convinced yet, but I do find it really interesting.
They reversed the birds' roles later to see if the recipient of the generosity would pay back the favors, and they did. So,
the same process happened in reverse.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what the scientist says. In the very first trial, they could not have known that the roles would be reversed afterward, and yet I don't think he says anything after that. He notes that the parrots seem to have an intrinsic desire to help out their partner. The 8 birds tested all knew each other and lived in the same social group. So, yeah, I don't know. This idea of can animals be altruistic or even just giving, selfless, or even if it's not completely selfless, can they be giving in a very complex way? That interests me.
That interests me too. I hesitate to say, or I will say yes, with caveats, or maybe with a little bit of skepticism. But like I can imagine, I guess I'm not too knowledgeable in this area, but I could easily imagine, like a pack of wolves or something. They cooperate a lot. They cooperate to bring down prey, and like you could imagine one wolf, the big wolf, like hogging all the food. But I guess I can't say this from certainty, but I'm pretty sure they all share their kills and stuff so that they can maintain a strong pack. Is that and it's not completely selfless because they need a strong pack to continue to take down food, but there is some aspect of complexity there.
Well, you're right. When I think about it, I feel like we've seen these images, and it's true of like animals caring about other animals and being upset when one dies. In fact, we know this to pretty much be true. Like even 2 dogs that live in the same household, the other one will be really sad when one dies. But what if now imagine they are dying or they are hungry and they can't quite get their toy or their food, and you can envision the other dog kind of going and picking up the toy or bringing some food over, or that's similar to the pack thing. Here's some food. Here, eat, please. That seems generous and even altruistic, even though you could just say, oh, well, it's because they care so much. But these parrots in this study cared, so I don't know however you want to define selflessness, but it seems like, I think I would like to know more about that, about altruism in the animal kingdom.
Yeah. Well,
So
maybe
presents,
I'll just start.
yeah.
Maybe I'll just start giving walnuts out for Christmas, then,
There you
or
go.
little tokens or something.
Run experiments on people and just treat them
There
like
we go.
parrots.
My family are my guinea pigs,
My parrot guinea pigs.
my guinea parrots, my African gay parrots.
Well, Bennett.
Well, that's a good place to stop with the
I guess
gay
that's
parrots.
a good place to stop it. Yeah. No, I like this. This was fun. This is good.
All right, that'll wrap it up.
That'll wrap it up. Let's find a way to finish things better.
Yeah.